Ta-da! We're done! I can't hear a word you're saying. Your mic's off. Hello? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Nope.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now. Can you hear me still?
Oh, perfect. I can. You sound lovely.
Great.
Beautiful. Your beautiful voice as usual.
In better news, the BPA is basically done now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, well, the volume
Very
one's
cool.
done. Volume one's done.
That's really cool. Right on. Well, here, let me pull up chapter 19. Very cool. So what does that mean? So you've got it all. Have you got everything except for 19 up online now?
Well, everything except for 19 in the epilogues, but yeah, but like, first draft of it, everything's done. Maybe we'll move on to book 2. I don't know. I actually have 2 separate ideas for book 2. One of them we talked about earlier. It was the drug bust, but with potions, and the other one is Puck sending a genie's lamp to a preschool.
Ooh. Oh, that could be cool.
Oh yeah, having a bunch of kids make wishes.
And make their biggest wish come true. Yeah, there's what I'm trying to remember what the name of that movie is that's coming out about a. Is that what it is? Where it turns out to be a kid inside a big ball?
No. I don't know what you're talking about. I was thinking of Shorts. That was the movie where the kids got the wishing rock.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, good call. This is a new movie that's about to come out, and I'm trying to remember who's in it. But the world is in a state of complete chaos, and they are trying to figure out where the chaos is coming from. And it's all just an AI has gone crazy, but it turns out the AI has manifested as a sort of a cyborg child who's watching TV all day and just wishing things into existence, and that's what's creating the problems. So I love the genie thing. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, congratulations, man. How does that feel to have that 18 chapters in? Does it feel like you've accomplished something significant?
No, my wallet still feels empty.
Well, fair, yeah.
It feels
You're
nice.
hoping, yeah.
It feels
yeah.
nice to have the project done, but it doesn't really feel done per se, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially because
no, absolutely.
Looking back over Volume 1, I have to say it's not really a good representation of what I initially wanted the BPA series to be like. Because I was hoping for more like Supernatural meets X-Files, basically. And
fair.
This isn't technically that. This is more superhero shit.
Yeah, it sort of feels like a hybrid of the two. Yeah, you're right. There's an element of the paranormal and supernatural, but it definitely has more of a superhuman thing going on with it for sure. But it is what you made, and I think that honestly, whatever your original vision for it was, I think this has been quite satisfying to read. It'll be interesting to see. Have you had any specific feedback from different people in terms of what they think and what they like and why and all that stuff?
I've got one person who said he really liked my work, who I know does some really good work on Royal Road, but that's about it. It's only ranked at 7,298th place on Royal Road.
What? Say that again. 200.
7,298.
Oh, okay. Out of how many? How many are there that are in there?
I remember starting at somewhere around 15,000, so I got about halfway down.
That's not bad. That's significant.
30,
but it's not where you want it to be.
No.
Sounds like it.
Got about 30 permanent followers. Yeah. Really what the story needs is to get out there more, so,
Yeah.
It's results.
Yeah, it sounds like you're learning the limitations of online and Royal Road specifically too. Everybody goes into a thing like this, hoping it's going to be one thing or thinking it's going to be one thing, and then it's going to be whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, my issue isn't the Royal Road. My issue is that Royal Road really only supports you if you constantly post. So if you make a story, the idea is to then just spam that story as much as possible.
Right. It's a content machine, which is the the bane of most writers' existence. The idea that you're supposed to just write on demand because it's for them. It's serving their purposes. It may or may not be serving yours.
Chapter 17 and Chapter 18 are both technically flops because I didn't time the release quite right, so it got like basically drowned out in all the noise.
Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens when it's all said and done. I always wonder, like, how do they? I don't know much about Royal Road. How do they recommend that you promote your work, or do they give you any tips on how to promote your work?
Well, there's a forum page you can go to look stuff up, but they have a marketing page that allows you to post ads for about $50. Those are pretty good if you can get a good photoshopped ad out. Beyond that, your main source of getting out there is just publicity. They have a latest posted page. Basically, the idea is to post it there at such a time that you don't have a dozen other people posting because it only shows about 6 entries at once.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so
interesting. Yeah, all of these things come down to most artists that I talk to, including writers, musicians, and so on, and myself included. Is the challenge is always distribution. The main thing for writers is it's still the case that you're more likely to get your work seen through a publisher. Just like it's still the case that as a musician, you're most likely going to get the most press, even in these days of Spotify and Apple Music and publishing your own music, still with a record contract.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to pretend those are dead, but they're not.
There's also the fact that the pre-existing authors on Royal Road generally take first come, first serve. One of the authors, he wrote a really great series called Mother of Learning. He just released a new series called Zenith of Sorcery. It has 3 chapters. He hasn't released for weeks. It's still #1 on Rising Stars.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's still going strong solely based off of his popularity of his original novel, which admittedly is ranked #1 in all of Royal Road.
Interesting. Here, I'm just going to go into your thing here and see if I can find it. How can I remind me how I can find you? Can I just go your name?
Just type in Royal Road BPA. It'll immediately come up.
Okay, here we go.
Ta-da!
Locust in Alaska. I thought it was locusts. Is it locust?
It's whichever one's the bug.
Oh, but is it singular? I thought it was locusts, like plural, was the title.
Shit. Okay, I'm gonna have to go and Photoshop that. And your audio just cut out. I can barely hear you.
Is that better?
A little better.
I don't know. Something like that. It's showing that it's still at full volume.
I kind of hear you, but I can barely, something's wrong here. I can barely hear anything.
Well, let me see. Yeah, it's telling me that I'm... Testing 1, 2, 3.
Better. And it got worse.
It might be a little bit is it maybe your headphones or?
No, I don't think
it's
so.
Not changing.
Oh. Don't touch whatever you just did.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
Okay, you're back. I can hear you again. God damn it! No, it's muffled. It's like you've got something on it.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Is that any different, or is it still the same?
You sound perfect now.
Okay, let's see if it stays like that. Hopefully it does. Yeah, because when I looked at this, I thought that it was about like a locust in Alaska. This is the story of a locust, a singular.
go back to Photoshop, put an S in there, and then re-upload it.
Cool. So if I go through, I'm just going to go through.
You can scroll down and see the reviews if you want.
I love that. Oh, you've got interlude spelled wrong, just so you know. Those are the things that might turn people away. I'm just trying to see here. Let me just see. Where is? Oh, chapter 18 is next. There we go. Oh, we get some nice reviews here. Nice.
Yeah, one of those is from my grandmother. So.
Nice.
I don't really whatever. Count that.
Fair enough. There's chapter 18. I'm just going to go with the spider roast because Liquor was too gross into dust. What's that sentence saying?
No, I don't think I quite spelled that correctly.
It's great how it appears, though. It's cool. Oh, you called Ramona Ramon here. I'd go through this because that's one thing that might hurt you in the long run is the fact that the and all of these question marks should be commas. I don't know how picky people are with that on like a publisher would.
It's not as bad. It's not really bad on Royal Road until it starts like taking you out of it.
Yeah, and it might take some people. That's one thing I feel like it wouldn't hurt to go through this because I am noticing still some spelling and grammar and punctuation. And again, like you dare insult me, but you say you dar insult me. And I'm only pointing this out because it it's entirely possible that part of what causes people to not read is if they get the impression that it still desperately needs some editing.
Yeah, there are a lot worse ones on Royal Road, and those ones are still popular. So I wouldn't say grammar is necessarily the biggest deal breaker.
Okay, that's cool. To see it all like that sort of laid out. That's great. Well, good for you. That's fantastic that you got it taken care of. So do you want to, Hayden, do you want to continue, or are you after tonight's session? Let me just see. I think we've still got, let me just see here. Where is the, oh, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Hang on. Where is it? There we go. So where are we here? Resume billing January 10th. So we started again on the 10th. So you still have more sessions than that. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You still got one more next week. Do you want to continue, or do you want to take a break? Because I know you had mentioned that last time we got together.
I think I'd rather continue. Just don't want to lose. It's too easy for me to lose the momentum.
Okay, yeah, you're calling. I'm happy to continue or not.
So, should we go with the drug story or the kids with a genie's lamp story? Kids making wishes.
Okay, great question. I'll send this to you because these are strictly structural things. There was nothing in the comments
I just added that part because I felt like Ramona needed more stuff happening when she escaped instead of just her sprinting off.
I liked it, and I'll just send that to you because they're all strictly like spelling and structural stuff. So no problem.
Perfect. Then I can just I can say everything ahead of time. Yeah.
Very little to change.
After that, okay, so epilogues and the character sheets, and then we're done basically with Locusts in Alaska.
Sounds good. Okay, so Puck, Ramona, and Morty, those three. Do you want to? I looked at all three of them. Do you want to hit them in any particular order?
Not really. Doesn't matter. I was perfectly willing to scrap and or change them out as necessary.
So your question to me is, which one of these is it? Is it a choice of one of these three?
No, not well. Like technically it's all just epilogue scenes that I wanted to have, and I just wanted your opinion, like, do I just dump all these in the end? Should I cut one or two?
That's totally fair. Okay, so the Morty one is the one that feels the most consequential. It's the one that feels like the one you definitely should have the most in terms of, from my point of view, sort of wrapping up sort of this part of the story and go, oh shit, we are truly going into a next level, giving us a peek into their thing and what all of this was about. As far as Morty was concerned.
That's the one I'm thinking the most rather needs to be the first epilogue or the last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mentioned that because the other two epilogues currently have cliffhangers leading into other stuff. Or
I felt that I loved. Okay, so here's what I loved. If it was me, I'd go Morty and then Ramona, and I have questions about Puck. So I would probably make Morty the first epilogue. No, I think it's interchangeable because I like the way they both end. I like the fact that we've got minor things, by the way, here about double words and spelling of Morty and that kind of thing. Yeah. Relatively minor. I thought it was pretty solid on its own.
I also wanted to really make sure that Azimuth and the rest of the Alhoon only refer to Morty as either Morty or the Abomination. That's going to be his big thing. He's going to be, an abomination to eldritch creatures.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, here's what I like. I like that Morty gives the fullest picture we've had so far. When I say the epilogue, Morty gives the fullest. It illuminates better than anything I've seen so far the Al-Noon side of the equation. It helps me understand now. Everything leading up to that has been this really fun exchange, mostly between Ramona and Julius. Seeing them really grow as a team. That's basically, if someone were to say, "Hey, summarize the first 19 chapters of Hayden's book," I'd say it introduces us to the BPA.
It's basically a Men in Black episode. Now that I think about it,
it really is. Yeah, and that's good. That's okay because Men in Black. The most interesting thing about Men in Black is the growing relationship between Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. Mm-hmm. Everybody says, "No, it's the aliens." No, the aliens is the candy apple, man. The candy is the aliens. The apple in the middle is the relationship between Will and Tommy Lee. And Tommy Lee is trying to phase himself out while Will is becoming the new Tommy Lee. That's the most interesting thing about that story to me. The most interesting thing about this story was seeing Ramona was the most interesting thing for me, which is surprising because she was sort of almost inconsequential first, the beginning. But seeing her evolution, seeing what happened to her and how Julius was in, the thing that's interesting to me about if Ramona wasn't in this story, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting to me. It would be interesting, but not nearly, because everything else feels like business as usual for Julius, except things are getting worse and he's got a big problem to solve. But it's the fact that he's in the middle of doing his job, rescued this person who accidentally became super and then got paired up with him against his will, and their relationship grew, and they end this chapter with her giving him the elder tears, and he's like, "Oh my God, I love you." That's awesome. That's awesome to bring that culmination to the end of that epilogue. So, but meanwhile, you gave us the Al-Noon. So again, in summary, you introduced me to BPA in this paranormal world. You made it clear to me by the time it was done that the Al-Noon are about to fuck with the planet, and that's terrifying. And that probably Julius and Ramona are the best hope of dealing with it. And they've taken this whole book, this whole chapter 19, you can call it, to get to know each other, trust each other, and become partners. I'm like, that's good. That's really good. So to end this whole thing with wrapping up, well, not wrapping up, but you know what I mean? Finally fully explaining what's going on with the Al-Noon, even though there's still more to learn, and having this sort of cap scene. And you gave me that great last chapter where Ramona really had to fight to save Julius's life. So they've really gone back and forth, saving one another and working through shit to get the respect of each other. So they're a power team to me. I'm like, they have earned it. And there's been dicks kind of through the whole thing going, "I knew you guys would get along. You kind of need to because we got to save the planet." That's the vibe I'm getting.
I should also mention the rest of Volume 1 is just going to be Ramona's training arc.
Perfect.
It's just going to be, oh, Ramona can't do this, end of the episode, I can now shoot a gun, I can fight hand to hand, whatever.
No, it's great. I'm loving it. Watch here. The only thing I'll always say to you, because I know you're again like me. Your brain goes 100 miles an hour with really wicked stuff. The Achilles heel will always be those technical things that piss you and I off. Like, I don't fucking care about grammar. You should see the guys in Royal Road. Their grammar's worse. I never want to hear that again. As your coach, I don't give a shit how terrible they are. You should be awesome. Period. Would be my encouragement
don't get
to
me
you.
wrong, I'm not happy with bad grammar. The problem is
I know you're not. I know.
I work on a project, I do a first draft, I do a second draft, and by then I've become so blind to what I've written that I'm not even reading it, I'm just reciting it from memory at that point. And yeah, like I pulled up a story I wrote like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I have an entire book actually, turns out I didn't bother publishing. And it's just riddled.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I have an entire story I could have just dumped on Royal Road, but it is riddled with grammar errors that I just didn't even remember.
Fair. No, you've improved huge. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not meaning to give you shit for that, but I know how important it is to you to be taken seriously and to make money doing this. And if it's a passion project and for you and your family, spell however and all that stuff you want. But to be taken seriously by a publisher, because you eventually do, I would imagine, want more than just people who read this kind of stuff to read it. You want ultimately to get noticed by somebody who's like, this guy's ideas are awesome, and he clearly gives a shit about editing. And that's a tough combination. I mean, like people who tend to default one or the others, usually people who are really good on the technical, structural side of things and lack the good ideas, or the reverse. And you want to be a double threat. You want to do both. You want to be so good with your spelling and your grammar and your punctuation that nobody even questions that stuff. They don't even have to think about it. There's too many times when I'm, even with what I just saw on Royal Road, and I'm just being honest with you, the ideas are solid, but as I'm looking and I'm like, oops, you know, like just within one chapter, I'm seeing enough grammatical things and punctuation, and I love you, and I hate to even say those things, except I want you to be as successful as you deserve to be, because your ideas are fucking amazing. Your ideas are better than most of the people I work with, and I don't want to see you get sabotaged, you know, by the most elementary stuff like spelling and all that stuff. I would challenge yourself.
One of the big advantages of Royal Road actually is that they have basically a point system where you can point out people's grammatical mistakes and post them in the comments, and you get points for that.
Oh, really? So they've gamified editing?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
If your story is like if you're really shitty on grammar and you post a story to Royal Road, it's basically free editing.
Oh, I'm totally going to go into that into Royal Road. That I'm going to get all the points I can get.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. I don't just mean you. I mean everybody.
You can get a ton.
I don't know what they're going to be worth.
That.
Can I get money for it?
No.
You know what? No. Seriously though, I bet you that could be. I'll bet money now that there's some people who get jobs as editors by doing that.
Oh, totally.
That somebody will pay attention to that.
There are job postings on Royal Road for like need an edit. Do you need an editor? Job postings. And they'll give reference to some of the books they worked on.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah,
why not?
I'm happy to do it myself because I'm generally better at editing stuff that isn't my work.
Me too. No, me too. It's always easier to see somebody else's mistakes. Always.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy that way.
We're not. I'm not reading my story. I'm looking at words on the page and remembering the story.
Absolutely. Here, I'm going to bookmark this so I can go through it somewhere on your Royal Road. Looks really professional, man. Looks really good.
Leave me a full 200-word review because then that boosts me more than anything else.
I will actually.
Yeah, 200 words.
I'll do that.
5 stars. Doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'll do that. I should have done that before now, actually. So I'll go on there.
I
and
honestly
do that.
thought you were one of the people following me already. I'm kind of surprised you weren't.
Am I not following you? I thought I was.
Not according to what I saw on the page.
Okay, maybe I don't know how to follow you.
Just go. Yeah, there's literally a box that says follow, and you can set it up so you can even get email notifications for your stuff.
Oh, I'm not following. Okay. So I'm following you. And I'll go in and I'll look at your. Oh, I love the way that looks. That looks so cool.
It looks great. Wait, you mean
cool.
the BPA poster picture?
Yeah, looks really good.
I actually have another one where it's like the FBI logo, except it says BPA instead. And it's like, it has other differences, but like, that's the general gist of it.
I love this. Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm going to send you the notes, but I would definitely, oh yeah, tell me about Puck. Because I feel like I know Puck the least. Tell me about this
Okay, so
epilogue involving Puck.
Puck, aka Owen, like who we met with Baker.
Right.
He is a Fae, one of the original elder races of the universe. His species is basically known for their ability to kill just about anything. But anyway, skipping ahead, Puck's problem is that he understands the Alnoon. He was alive back when it was the Alnoon versus the Titans, and those two species wrecked planets in a war against each other. So he fully understands what's coming to Earth. Like, there is no question in his mind that the BPA can't both fight off the Alnoon and maintain secrecy in any way that doesn't end with like at least half the planet getting destroyed.
Okay.
So So knowing all this, and despite attempts to do things the legal way, he's defaulted to the Fae way, which is to be bloody and ruthless as possible about it. In this case, he's going to expose the paranormal to the real world, let that clusterfuck play out, and then they're going to be forced to deal with the Alnoon in full.
I'll tell you what I thought is that I love the Puck epilogue as a next book prologue.
Ah, okay.
That's what it feels like it wants to be, because it feels like I would close out, let this story, this would be my suggestion. Let the things that we've been focused on through the story end the story. Like when she hands him the Elder Tears, especially if there's like a moment of them feeling like, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, that's the only thing I would juice on that ending, is like really give a sense of, heighten the sense of, I don't know how we managed to escape the Alnoon this time, but I don't know if they come in insufficient numbers, we're kind of fucked. And I was looking for some jeopardy, that when she gives him the Elder Tears, it's like he's like, oh, I love you right now. Maybe this will help, and you're like, how will that help? And then you end there. That's a cool ending. And then the Puck thing feels like the start of the next book, rather than something that comes at the end that makes me go, wait a minute, what's this about? And it kind of splits my focus and sucks a bit of the emotional energy away from the story, just resolving with Alnoon and Julius and Ramona.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion. Food for thought.
No problem with that whatsoever. Quick question. Should that be a prologue to the Kids with the Wishing Lamp or the Drug Bust episode?
Well,
because it works as either or.
And yeah, it depends on what you're wanting to set up.
I may actually want to cut out, depending on which one I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get the audience. In my experience, you don't try to get the reader focused on too many things at once. Like, the thing that's worked so well with these 19 chapters, don't ever forget. This is where I think the Matrix movies, in my opinion, kind of lost their focus. I don't mind the second and third Matrix movies, but the first one had such a clear, singular focus. And then each subsequent Matrix movie, even though they introduced cool ideas, love the ideas of Matrix, it just became this clusterfuck of like, what?
Also, all fighting stopped making any sense.
Yeah, like, it just became like, oh, okay, so they almost did that with John Wick to me. Like, they managed to sort of pull away from the crazy. Like, I liked all the John Wick movies, but I mostly still liked the first one because it was pretty basic and straightforward. You can get complex. You can get, like, the Avengers movies, for example. By the time we get to Infinity War and Endgame, there's a lot going on in each one of those movies.
Because, honestly,
but you never...
Like, Endgame and Infinity War, I think the most complex thing is they kind of expected you to already see all the movies up until now.
Well, totally. Like, that's what I'm saying, is they managed to keep, like, same thing with Lord of the Rings. No matter how complex they got, like I've said a million times, I was always clearly focusing largely on getting the ring to Mordor and these 2, 3, or 4 things and some of the side stories. So my point,
goals.
Very clear. And that's what fantasy writers especially can really fall victim to. Is you're one of the few who have managed to escape it. Most fantasy writers I work with, great ideas. It just becomes this absolutely confusing clusterfuck of so many things going on at once that I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to care about next. And it's so disappointing, because then it's no disrespect to the writer and their incredible ideas. but they just got too much going on, and it feels that way.
So
whereas you've
Morty
mastered
and
in these chapters.
Morty and Ramona epilogues, they're good, basically. Then
Absolutely, but like end with a bang. End with Morty.
And with
Morty has the bigger bang right now.
Yeah. Should I keep the part about the robot spy that Julius dropped on them, or should I just edit that thing out?
I think I would leave it out.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of... I kind of just threw it in there to kind of make Julius seem smarter than he actually is. Well, than I actually... Because I originally envisioned Julius as kind of like, Sherlock Holmes, Doctor Who kind of a character. And he's not really doing much
That's
of that.
a great comparison.
And he's not really doing any of that, is my problem.
I'm okay with you. Introduce that as his like, I would, rather than introduce a new skill or a new thing that he's good at, that you're just... Like, I would have as few new revelations. In these epilogues, the only thing in my experience that should be new is like one thing per epilogue, like the of what Morty is up to,
So
and
just
the elder tears. That's important.
Just back edit the
would.
robot thing out of it. Okay.
I would, but don't be afraid to throw that into the next one, because I want to see. Okay, we've seen that he's a kick-ass fighter. We've seen that he knows how to take care of himself. In the next one, show me his Sherlock / Batman side, where we start to see, oh, he's also really fucking smart with these things, right?
I'll be honest here, I'm leaning more towards the drug bust.
Okay, yeah.
Do you think the kid one will have more appeal, or the drug bust?
Well, I think the kid one, you have to. I'd want to know more about where that goes, because that's such a cool idea that it threatens to subvert whatever else is going on. If you introduce a concept like that, I need to see you play it out to its logical conclusion. I don't want to see it get introduced and only sort of half explored.
Like my other story with the teenager who finds his grandpa's box of magical goodies in his closet and kind of goes on a rampage in school because he has a ring that allows him to regenerate from like getting stabbed in the heart.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's too cool. Like Back to the Future. It's one thing that's happening in that, and
so drug bust then to more establish Ramona and Julius.
I would run with that and see what you think.
Okay then.
But no, congratulations, man, on finishing this. This is huge. This is a huge step forward. And my only encouragement would be focus on those things I keep nagging you about. Just because I want to see you at 100%, and I don't want to. From my point of view, not like I'm your god or anything, or you dictating your the way you should do everything, but I would make it a personal challenge, even if it's painful, to get so good at all of those technical things that you never hear me talk about it again, because then now you're at the level where your technical is matching your creative. Well, then your technical and your creative are both here. Right now, your creative is here and your technical is here, and they should be there.
At least
because
that's at least my technical skills aren't complete garbage.
No, and they've improved.
Yeah.
You've totally improved.
I think at least half of that is Grammarly.
Good. And hey, that's okay. Use all the crutches.
You're cutting out again.
Look at phonograph. Can you hear me? Look at phonograph.
I can't hear you.
I can see myself tapping. What is happening? Is it maybe pull out your headphones?
I think you're gonna have to enunciate because everything's going like wah 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 wah. Okay. Sure. See you next week. I'll cut out the Puck epilogue, do up the Morty and Ramona one, and then finish everyone's character sheets, and then just release them en masse, back to back to back.
Yeah. Tell me next week whatever you want to do.
Okay. I'll see you next week with the prologue for Decoctions in Los Angeles, or whatever the fuck I'm gonna call it. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.